I'm Miss Ball and I have a drawing project today. I'm going to show you how to draw two different types of rabbits. And I have a lot of students who love rabbits, and I also learned that there were a group of big kids in my neighborhood who are reading a chapter book called Watership Down, and they wanted to draw pictures about that story, so this video will help them too. So what you'll need for this project is a white piece of paper, a graphite pencil or a drawing pencil with an eraser, and also some colored pencils. All right, let's take a look at some rabbits and we'll start to draw. When I start sketching, I want to have an example of something to look at while I start. And I'm always going to start with a very loose gesture line. And this line is not a perfect line. It's a line that shows the form and it's kind of figuring the form out, but it's not a perfect outline. So I normally sketch around the different parts over and over until I find that I have them the right size and I have them in the right spots. Here I'm working at the top of the head on the ears, and this is going to be the eye, and the other eye is here, the nose and mouth. This is a lion head rabbit and has kind of like a lion's mane around its head. So I'm sketching this lion's mane part, and it's kind of got funny eyebrows. So I'm sketching out the eyebrows and then this kind of bushy lion's mane or lion's beard. There's the back of the bunny, the back leg, the tail. Right now my drawing is very light. I would call this a sketch. This is a great way to draw because if you have your pencil line very light like this, then it's easy to erase the lines that are not in the right spot. Or if you see a mistake on your drawing or something's not right, you can fix it. I'm also putting some of the shadows in, some of the darker areas. When I tap my pencil like that, I'm measuring. I'm making sure that the eye is in the right spot. You can't see my face right now, but when I'm drawing like this and I'm copying a picture, I'm looking back and forth very quickly from what I'm drawing to the picture of the rabbit. And this helps me to see what's in the right spot or if something needs to change or be bigger or smaller. I call this act of looking back and forth the bouncing eye. Here I'm putting in some of the direction of the fur. I notice that the fur goes down the back and the fur that is around the face radiates from the face outward. What I'm doing with my pencil here is I'm measuring. So I think the ear is a little bit big, so I'm kind of measuring it with the end of my pencil to see if it's too big or not. And maybe that fur sticks out a little too far. When I'm laying out the plan for my drawing, I do a lot of erasing, and that's why I keep the drawing so light so that I can fix anything that doesn't look right. Because it's a lot easier to do now. Once I start coloring, it's very hard to erase. You want to make sure that you take your time with this part of the drawing and get everything in the right spot before you start coloring. You can use your pencil to measure length, but you can also use your pencil to look at angles. So here I'm looking at the angle from the ear to the fur. And here I'm looking at the angle that goes from the ear to the tail. I'm looking at it on my picture and on my drawing and making sure it's the same. I'm feeling pretty good about the outline I have, so I'm going to start coloring, and for this part I'm going to go a little faster. When I start to add coloring or add shading, I always start with the darkest parts first. To notice those darkest parts, it's a good idea to squint your eyes, and squinting allows you to see some of those darker shapes and shadows. I'm also trying to look for the direction of the fur, and when I add my shading, I try to shade in the direction of the fur. Even though this rabbit is mostly brown,
I like to use a lot of different colors, so sometimes I'll use blue for my shadows. I'm using pink and yellow also. So don't be afraid to have fun with color and use lots of color. You can see this drawing is starting to emerge, and the darker shadows and darker shapes are helping to make this drawing look dimensional. Now I'm starting a second rabbit, so I have a different picture here, and I'm still starting off with the same sketching style where I start with a gesture line, which is a quick moving line to help show the form. So I'm laying out the ears here, and the neck and the back of the rabbit, and the tail, and the body. Here's the eye. This is a wild rabbit, and I believe the name of this rabbit is the New England Cottontail. I'm placing this rabbit next to the lion head rabbit so they can be looking at each other. Maybe they're having a little conversation. When I'm sketching out this rabbit, I'm doing the same thing as I did with the last one. I'm looking back and forth quickly from what I'm drawing to the photograph of the rabbit and seeing if there's anything that's a little different. You'll see me doing some erasing and some measuring too. I'm noticing here that the shape of the rabbit is not right. It's a little bit too tall, so I'm erasing its legs with a big eraser and going back in and making it right. Don't worry if you have to do some big erasing like this, because it's all part of the drawing process. Just be patient with yourself and know that that is what the eraser is there for. Here you can see me using my pencil to check the angle of the head. Now that my gesture drawing is looking pretty accurate, I'm going to go in and add some darker values. Value is a word we use to talk about light and dark. A drawing that has both very dark and very light values will look more dimensional. After I have both rabbits sketched out, I can put the pictures of them away and then just work on the background, and I can make some decisions about the rabbits that I don't need the pictures for. So I'm going to add some extra shadows in there to make them stand out. This is my favorite part of the drawing because I like to make my own decisions and I don't really like to copy that much. So this is my favorite part. I also like to add a background so the rabbits have a place, and it also makes the drawing feel a little bit more complete. In this type of drawing, I'm not going to use an outline because an outline will tend to flatten the image and make it look a little bit less realistic. My finishing touches for this drawing are adding some dark marks for the eyes and then darkening some of the shadows to make the drawing look more dimensional. And here is my final drawing.
I hope you enjoyed watching this video on how to draw rabbits. And if you draw rabbits or anything else using this drawing technique, I would love to see your work. Feel free to email me or post your pictures on our school's Padlet so everyone can see them. Take care. See you next time.